You're watching News 3 This Morning, Weekend Edition, with Michelle Medeiros and meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Good morning. It's Sunday, December 18th, 2016. I'm Michelle Medeiros, and thanks for joining us right here on News 3. The top story this morning is no surprise there's icy weather out there, and it's creating slippery situations for many across our region. But first, Tony has a better look at what we're dealing with this morning. Tony, when can we expect to melt?
Well, Michelle, not yet. In fact, it's going to be cold for quite a while. We're looking at a couple of more days before we actually get above freezing. In fact, my shirt used to be red. It's so cold it turned blue. If you look outside right now, we start seeing those temperatures in the teens most just about everywhere. Southeast Missouri, extreme southern Kentucky, and you start to get into northern Tennessee, you start seeing some 20s. The good news is we're not in the single digits. The bad news is the temperatures today are not going to rise that much further. Even more bad news, the wind chills. It's a little breezy out there this morning. I will say that those winds will start to die down throughout the afternoon. But right now, if you're getting up and going outside to get the paper, you're in for a shock. Negative numbers in southeast Missouri, single digits just about everywhere else. It's got to go way down far south before you get into the teens. It's very, very chilly outside, folks. Icy roads are going to be a problem for you today. We're going to see some flurries continue through the morning, and I will tell you all about that when those flurries are going to end coming up in my forecast in a few minutes.
Tony, I've missed those corny jokes. Thanks for joining us this morning. Well, falling temperatures are leading to multiple crashes this weekend. Freezing rain and snow are causing major issues for travelers across our region. Illinois State Police issued an advisory to stay off the roads last night, but many people didn't. At one point, police were working 11 crashes, and there were at least 11 more they were trying to get to. Northern Jefferson County saw many of those crashes down I-57. The ice is so bad in some areas that it caked the front of the cars and frosted over windshields. I'll have much more on this winter weather and its impact in our region coming up at 6:30. Volunteers in Mound City took the chance to honor fallen veterans through the Wreaths of America program. They laid more than 1,000 wreaths at graves at the Mound City National Cemetery. News 3's photojournalist Annie Shafsadal takes a look.
All these many cemeteries across the nation.
That was our photojournalist Andy Shafstall. Meanwhile, in the nation's capital, 70,000 volunteers placed wreaths on more than 245,000 headstones at Arlington National Cemetery. In all, 90,000 wreaths were placed all over thousands of locations nationwide as a part of National Wreaths Across America Day yesterday. An Illinois lawmaker wants kids to buckle up on the school bus. State Representative Lou Lang is proposing a law that would require seatbelts on new, large school buses. It's in response to the school bus crash in Chattanooga last month that killed 6 students. But opponents say seatbelts cost too much and would make getting off the bus in emergency situations more difficult. 6 states already require seatbelts on school buses. Kentucky will spend up to $800,000 to pay for low-income students to take advanced placement tests. These tests allow students to earn college credit. State law requires Kentucky Department of Education to cover those costs. Kentucky has relied on federal grants in the past, but those grants have been eliminated. The U.S. Department of Energy is giving researchers a $10 million grant to study carbon storage here in Illinois. Researchers will look at the feasibility of a storage complex within the Mount Simon Formation in Macon County, and they'll study building a carbon capture and storage project in east central Illinois. The goal there is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. An Illinois attorney faces federal charges. Authorities say he and another attorney extorted millions of dollars from people who allegedly downloaded porn. Attorneys John Steele and Paul Hansmeyer were arrested on Friday. Federal prosecutors say the men bought copyrights to pornographic films, then sued people who downloaded those movies, collecting more than $6 million in settlements over 3 years. Now, neither attorney has commented on those charges. The latest version of synthetic marijuana is endangering homeless people. One of the biggest outbreaks is in St. Louis, where nearly 300 homeless people became ill. Doctors say this synthetic marijuana is up to 100 times more potent than real marijuana. Users reported rapid heart rate, high blood pressure, anxiety, and hallucinations. Here's a live look over Mount Vernon this morning. The snow was falling there just a second ago. And Tony, will that stop soon?
The snow should start to wind down as we get through the morning hours, but the temperatures, they're also going to continue to wind down. I'll tell you all about it in my forecast coming up right after the break.
Putting accuracy first. This is News 3 weather.
It is no coincidence they brought me in today. After yesterday, temperatures in the 60s and 70s, they wanted me to come in and tell you that's no more. Temperatures right now, very, very chilly all over the region. We're seeing teens, even a couple of single digits out in Missouri. Temperatures in the 20s as you get a little further south. That is a much different story than what we saw this time yesterday. Now keep in mind, these numbers are for the temperatures that we saw at this very moment yesterday. Paducah, which is 41 degrees colder than it is now, actually set their record high of 72 degrees. That was 17 hours ago. Their temperature right now is almost 65 degrees cooler than what it was when it reached its highest point. But temperatures all over the map, you can see just huge number differences. That cold front came through yesterday afternoon, dropped those temperatures about 20 degrees within minutes. A lot of people saying that as they were out and about yesterday. Wind chills, also another big story. Very, very low. The winds right now a little bit gusty. We're seeing anywhere between 5 and 15 miles an hour as you get through the morning. And those are bringing these readings down. You're seeing negative numbers a little further off to the northwest. A little bit better as you get back down, but it's still very, very cold. If you're heading out to get the paper, you're definitely going to want to bundle up. It's not going to take much time to cool off. Temperatures, sadly, I wish I could say they were going to warm up, but as I run this through tonight, you're going to see they're going to remain in the teens through the day, and they're going to bottom out in the single digits tonight. I'm not expecting any readings below zero for most of our area, but with the little bit of snow cover there is, and the winds are going to calm down a little bit with the clearing skies, we're going to see those temperatures really start to drop. But they're not going to go up very much. We're only looking at teens again this afternoon, so they're not going to go very far. And you can see the cold readings off to our northwest. Now, we're not going to see readings quite like this, but that is going to push its way over, and we're going to see those temperatures again stay about steady and drop throughout the day as that moves in. If you go all the way out west, you see Denver at 1. They set a record low yesterday at -14, so very cold temperatures. And we run the radar into motion. You can see that cold front finally pushing out. We're seeing all that precipitation finally exiting the area. There are some flurries not showing up on radar right now, but it is something that we are watching throughout the morning. And again, we'll see those probably through about 9. I imagine most of it will be gone by then. Calming winds as we get into the afternoon. But again, those temperatures, they're actually not going to go up very much. We're going to see single digits overnight tonight. Clear and cold for the most part. And as we start to look ahead, we'll start to see those temperatures moderate just a little bit. Looking at 25 degrees on Monday, and we're seeing 30s and even a 40 returning. On Thursday, we're going to start to see a next cold front start to move into the region. I think right now it is going to be mostly dry, but it is something we're watching out probably for the weekend. We might see another chance of some kind of precipitation, whether it's going to be rain, snow. It's a little too early to tell. But again, we're getting into that winter pattern right now. Very, very active. Storms coming about every 7 days. We're also looking at one coming up a couple weeks ahead, so it's just going to be a very busy time for us as we get through the month of December.
Man, this is a far cry from where we were yesterday.
This is a very different cry than where we were yesterday. It was unbelievable how much it's changed.
I didn't have a coat on. It was wonderful. I was walking all about and loved it. And now this morning, I couldn't even bear to touch my steering wheel in the car.
Well, even yesterday, people walked into a store when it was 60 and came out and it was 30. It was incredible how quickly that happened.
All right, thank you, Tony. And those cold temperatures mean many people are cranking up their thermostats. But if you don't have heat, or if you can't cover that spike in your electric bill, then why not head over to a warming center? In Carbondale, you can go to the Civic Center in room 108. It will also be available overnight. Now, the Department of Human Services offices should also be open to the public. They have locations in Benton, Harrisburg, Golconda, Metropolis, Centralia, Chester, Mounds, Anna, and in Marion. Well, coming up next, I'll have your Sports Extra, followed by this week's Angie's List. Stay with us.
Putting accuracy first. This is News 3 weather.
It is a chilly start to the morning, and some people are seeing some flurries. Looking at the radar right now, this is kind of an interesting picture, not showing much of anything, but if you look up at Mount Vernon right now, we can actually see flakes flying on the camera right now. So there are some isolated flurries. Obviously a little too light to be picked up on radar right now, but it's something you want to watch out for as you're heading out the door this morning. And of course, in addition to that, it's just cold, folks. I wish I could tell you any better right now. Teens generally across southern Illinois, you're seeing some 20s as you get a little further south. Unfortunately, those temperatures are not going to moderate much throughout the day. The good news, though, these wind chills, which are very, very cold right now, are going to start to lighten up as we get through the morning hours. We're going to see those winds as they're gusting up to about 15 miles an hour right now. Those are going to start to die down just a little bit as we get into the afternoon. So those wind chills should get a little bit better. But generally, it's just going to be cold. I wish I had better news for you. We're looking 17 degrees, give or take a couple of degrees, and they're not going to rise much. In fact, they're probably going to fall throughout the day. But we are going to see clearing skies and calming winds as we get through. We're going to see thin clouds tonight and, again, single-digit lows. But those winds are going to be much calmer as we get into that warming trend coming up in the week, and I'll tell you about it a little bit later. Michelle?
Well, thank you, Tony. And when it comes to your home, an easy way to update your curb appeal is to install a new front door. But there's a lot you need to know before you just pick out a cheap replacement. We take a look in today's Angie's List.
If an ill-fitting, faded front door.
Do your due diligence, you'll get it returned to you.
Now, when it comes to installation, Angie says it's best to leave that to the professionals to get the right fit and seal. And the typical warranty lasts about 10 years. Well, here's a look over Route 13 this morning. Ice is still a big factor out there, but when we come back, I have a few travel tips in case you need to get out there this morning. If you have to get out on the roads this morning, the Illinois Department of Transportation has a few safety tips to help you. Well, be sure to take it slow, especially when you're approaching intersections, ramps, bridges, and shady areas. All of those tend to be prone to black ice. And make sure your gas tank is full and keep a cell phone handy along with a change of warm clothes, blankets, food, water, a first aid kit, washer fluid, and an ice scraper in your vehicle. Also, tell someone where you're going and the exact route you're taking. So that way, if emergency crews have to get to you, they know where to start their search. Well, thanks for joining us bright and early this morning. We have a whole lot more news and weather headed in your way. That starts right now. You're watching News 3 This Morning.
You're watching News 3 This Morning, Weekend Edition, with Michelle Medeiros and meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Good Sunday morning, and thanks for waking up with us right here on News 3. Coming up, I'll have more local news, including more on this winter weather. But first, let's check back in with Tony. Tony, when can we start to see all of this clearing out?
We're not going to see it today, unfortunately. It's going to be something we're going to be dealing with, at least the cold temperatures we're going to be dealing with for the next few days. The snow, the ice, that should all kind of lighten up a little bit as we get through the morning hours, but the wind chills are going to still remain, and of course with it as cold as it's going to remain for the next couple of days, a lot of that ice is going to hang around for a little bit, so you're going to have to watch out where you're on the roads. Temperatures right now, very, very cold right now. We're looking at 13 in Carbondale, 19 in Paducah. A little fact, yesterday they set a high temperature, record high temperature of 72 degrees at about 1:30 yesterday afternoon. That temperature now is 53 degrees lower than what their high temperature was yesterday. So very cold all over the place. We're going to see those temperatures continue to be that way through the day today, and we will start to see a little bit of moderation as we get into the weekend, and I'll tell you all about it in my forecast coming up just in a few minutes. Michelle?
Thank you. And as Tony mentioned, that ice has coated roads across our region, creating a slick situation for drivers. And that's kept emergency crews very busy overnight. I talked to the Williamson County Sheriff's Office this morning. They've responded to 10 accidents since 6 o'clock last night. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office tells me they've had 7 crash reports since about 7 o'clock last night, and that includes things like slide-offs and breakdowns. Meanwhile, over in Franklin County, their sheriff's office has seen 7 accidents as well since 10 o'clock last night, though. Now, those are just on county roads. That doesn't include crashes within city limits or on the interstate. So let's take a look at the road conditions on the interstate this morning. Here's a live map from the Illinois Department of Transportation. Now, as you can see, conditions look to be particularly bad over in the northern part of the state as well as the middle of the state. Those reds indicate it's very ice and snow covered. The yellow indicates that there's some slick and slippery patches out there. And as you can see over in southern Illinois, things look to be pretty okay. But from what I'm hearing from drivers, they're saying it's still kind of a bit of a problem out there. Any roads that have not been treated, they tend to be extra slick. So be sure to be cautious out there if you're heading around town this morning. Now, if you want to check, this is a live updated map. It's over on the Get Around Illinois website, and that'll give you updated road conditions. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, drivers are also dealing with icy road conditions. Christian and Caldwell counties are hit especially hard, but it's McCracken County where roads have been shut down due to floodwaters. A portion of Hauser Road has reopened this morning, but Bonds Road is still closed because of those floodwaters. That's just west of the Oaks Road intersection. While we are battling icy conditions out on the road, staying warm is an issue for some families in our region. Now, according to Ameren, Illinois, this morning, 30 homes in Williamson County were without power. In Jackson County, 3 homes lost power, but it was up to 10 earlier this morning. Now, this map, again, continues to update throughout the day. Williamson does not look to have any homes without power as of right now, but as I mentioned earlier today, there were 30 homes there without power. Now, Macon County, though, over in northern Illinois, just north of our region, they had about 400 at certain parts in the morning, and that was climbing. But if you're having trouble staying warm, warming centers have opened up across southern Illinois. In Carbondale, you can go to the Civic Center in room 108, and that will also be open overnight. Meanwhile, the Department of Human Services offices should also be open to the public. They have locations in Benton, Harrisburg, Golconda, Metropolis, Centralia, Chester, Mounds, Anna, and in Marion. The winter weather has made for slick road conditions, causing many accidents and keeping emergency crews busy. Now here's a look at just one of those accidents. It was over in Union County on the I-57 northbound exit ramp for Lick Creek Road. A semi there overturned, and our reporter said at one point it looked like that truck actually caught fire, but no official word from police just yet. Meanwhile, in Williamson County, there was a crash on Greenbrier near John A. Logan College around 10 o'clock last night. An SUV slid off the road and went through a fence. We sent a crew out there who saw a fire truck that was trying to assist in that crash slide into the road as well. Now, ICE looks to be the culprit there as well. More of the same out of Jackson County, but a crash there sent at least one person to the hospital. It happened at the intersection of Route 149 and Hicks Road, west of Hearst. A reporter there says at least 5 people were in the van that crashed. While authorities won't confirm that ICE was the cause of that crash, they say it was highly likely, but it's still under investigation. Now, ICE did play a role in a crash that sent 3 people to the hospital in McCracken County. It happened near North Friendship Road and Seneca Lane yesterday. A 26-year-old man was driving north when he lost control of his truck. Police say wet conditions caused that truck to cross the center line into oncoming traffic, striking another pickup truck. 3 people were rushed to the hospital, and the driver of that truck that lost control was not hurt. 1 person is dead after a crash in Madison County. It happened on I-255 and I-270 just after 3 o'clock yesterday. Now, Illinois State Police say a woman lost control of her SUV and crossed into oncoming traffic, then hit a pickup truck head-on. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The man driving the pickup truck was treated for non-life-threatening injuries at a local hospital. No names have been released yet, though, and the crash remains under investigation. Now, as you can see, all of this ice is impacting drivers throughout our region. Our News 3's Ronnie LaForge talks with a few of them to see how they prepared to travel in those conditions.
When freezing rain falls in Williamson County, Ronnie LaForge, News 3.
Here's a live look over I-57 this morning. You can see traffic is moving, but the snow is falling. You can see in the light flurry there. Tony, will that start to clear up later today?
The snow will stop falling, but unfortunately the temperatures, they will not stop falling. We're going to see those drop into the single digits, and I'll tell you all about it coming up in my forecast right after this break.
Putting accuracy first, this is News 3 weather.
It is a cold start to your Sunday, and unfortunately these temperatures, well, they're not going to get much better than this. We're seeing those right now in the teens throughout the most part. We're going to get a little bit further south before we start seeing any 20s. those are going to start to go away as well. As the day goes on, we actually are going to see these temperatures stay about steady, if not fall throughout the day. The good news, though, if I can say any good news, is that the wind chills will die down. But these are not the wind chill numbers. These are the temperature changes from 24 hours ago at this time yesterday. As you can see, we're looking 40 degrees in most places. From the high temperatures yesterday, though, you can add another 10, maybe even 20 degrees in some cases. That's how warm it got yesterday and how cold it is this morning. And again, those numbers, they're just going to continue to fall. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, we're talking about wind chills right now. We're seeing winds gusting at about 15 miles an hour. That's getting wind chills right around 0. We're seeing -4 in Sparta. You get down a little bit further south, you're about 10 degrees, though. Either way, you're going to get outside and it's going to slap you in the face pretty good. So if you're heading out to get the paper, be prepared. It is going to be very, very cold as you head out. We're going to see these temperatures again as I run through this map. You're going to notice not much moderation whatsoever. They stay in the teens throughout the day today, and they drop into the single digits tonight. We're going to still keep those northerly winds. Again, though, those are going to start to lighten up just a little bit as we get through the day today. Temperatures across the region, you see some very, very cold temperatures off to our northwest. While we're not going to see readings quite this low, this is going to slide just a little bit through. That's where we're going to see the colder temperatures tonight. And of course, as the skies start to clear, that's going to help drop those temperatures a little bit. But you can see -teens across western Kansas. But you go all the way over here where the front has come through, you can see 31 degrees in Circleville. All the way down through, we're seeing 68 in Atlanta. And again, that precipitation has started to move out of the area. Showers and storms, it was a mixed bag yesterday. We saw freezing rain, drizzle, sleet, even some hail, a couple of tornado reports. It's just a crazy day across the region, something we don't see very often. But certainly for weather people like me, it was a fun day to observe. But again, temperatures, we're not going to see them moderate very much. In fact, fall throughout the day. As the clouds clear, the sun will come out, but it's not going to do much for the temperatures. Winds will start to calm down, but the temperatures are going to come down as well. Seeing clear and cold conditions tonight, 7 degrees by midnight. We're looking at 4 degrees tonight. We're looking at the 5-day right now. We're seeing a little bit of moderation in temperatures. 45, while I hate to call that a warm day, it's certainly going to feel like it after what we've been through recently. It's going to take a while to get up there. We probably will not see above freezing temperatures again until Tuesday, unfortunately.
Well, that's not unfortunate. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's true. It beats the 90 degrees of summer.
I guess. But a big thing out there, though, the deer are definitely moving in this cold weather. I've seen a couple of them on just my way in this morning, causing some hazards out there as well as the ice.
Yes, and if you have to stop for one of those deer on the icy roads, it's not going to be a good combination.
Oh, boy. All right. So be careful out there. Thank you, Tony. Well, it was a big day for Toys for Tots and hundreds of kids in Carbondale. They were out at the Carbondale Fire Station for the distribution yesterday. The program helps nearly 1,300 kids in our area. And this year they gave out more than 4,000 toys. Organizers say they work all year round to make this happen. But come October, they really kick it into high gear for their toy collection.
It's the satisfaction of giving back to the community. You know, there's people out there that need help. And if we can help, you know, I've got the wherewithal and I've got the time because I'm retired.
Firefighters raised money and donated themselves to cover the cost of about half the bikes given away at the event. Well, we're heading out into the backcountry for this week's Callie on the Job. Be sure you won't want to miss it, so stick with us here on News 3. In this week's Callie on the Job, we're learning more about surveying and how to draw property lines in rural areas. Take a look.
It's so quiet out here. Who do you talk to?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Learn how to survey and use GPS to set a monument. Callie on the Job with Shawnee Services is officially complete.
Well, your community events calendar is up next, right after this quick break. Stay with us.
Putting accuracy first. This is News 3 weather.
I just took a peek outside and I actually saw above the studios here some clear skies, even saw the moon, and the radar's generally reflecting that. There's one little noticeable difference though. If you look at Mount Vernon right now, you're not seeing anything on the radar, but I pull up the live camera, you can see just a little bit of flurry activity. That is going to start to wind down over the next couple hours. Most of the precipitation should come to an end as we get through the rest of the morning, but it is something you got to watch out for here just for a little bit longer. But the ice, the cold, the wind chills, all of that is going to remain. Temperatures, like I said, very, very cold. 13 in Carbondale, 19 in Paducah. Mount Vernon sitting at 10 degrees. It's a real fine snowflake, which is why the radar's not picking it up very much. That colder air does not allow much moisture, so those flakes are really, really tiny. The wind chills, they're also very, very tiny. Look at that, -2 in Sparta, -7 in Festus, -13 in Rolla. Fortunately, those winds are going to start to die down as we get through the afternoon hours, but it's something you're going to have to deal with this morning. It's going to be very, very cold, and it's not going to take much wind. You're going to walk outside, it's feel like it's going to slap you right in the face. Very, very, very chilly. We're going to see just a few flurries throughout the morning, but most of that should be gone by 9 o'clock. I'm keeping it in there just to be on the safe side. Calming winds are also going to be another big story, but the temperatures, as you can see, they just go down. They're not going to go very far at all as we get through the rest of the afternoon hours. Looking at 11 by 6 p.m., but once it gets dark in those clear skies, oh, is it going to get cold. We're looking at 4 degrees as our overnight low. It'll be 7 by midnight if we are lucky. Michelle?
Thank you, Tony. Well, we are just 3 days away from the winter solstice, and there's a special event going on at the Cahokia Mounds. It starts at 7 this morning, and sun watchers will gather at the Woodhenge. It's a huge circle of posts that stands about a mile west of the Interpretive Center there. It's a reconstruction of a calendar that was used when the Cahokia Mounds were home to thousands of Native Americans. The actual solstice isn't until December 21st, but the sun will be in the same position today over in that area. Well, there's an interesting mix of Christmas displays going on today in Mount Vernon. The Jefferson County Historical Society will be showing off model trains and their nativity scene. The model train exhibit will have running train sets with different gauges and village settings. And parts of the nativity scene date back to the 1940s and were collected from all around the world. Cookies and drinks will also be served, and that's going on today at the Historical Village on North 27th Street in Mount Vernon. It goes from 1 until 4 o'clock. There's another nativity scene. This one's a live display, and it's going on at Walker's Bluff in Carterville today. It runs from 5:30 until 9 with guided tours every 15 minutes. The Christ Story has 6 panoramic scenes. It's free and open to the public. We're going to take a quick break, but that'll give you the chance to follow me on Facebook and Twitter if you aren't already. You can find me at Michelle WSIL for all the very latest on your local news. We'll be right back. Well, weather has definitely been the talk of the town this morning, and when are we expecting a melt? I mean, are we?
Not for a couple of days. We're not even going to get above freezing again until Tuesday, unfortunately. So the ice is going to stick around a little while. Fortunately, though, no more snow.
All right. Big thing out there. There are warming centers open, so we should be really careful about that. And if you have any issues, there's one in Carbondale. Many of the Department of Human Services offices will be open as well if that's an issue. It sounds like, though, we're expecting like single digits.
We're expecting single digits tonight, and for the temperatures right now, it's about as warm as it's going to get for us. We're going to be in the teens most of the day. Those are going to fall as we get into the evening hours, so you're definitely going to want to try to stay warm tonight.
Well, that about wraps us up here on News 3 this morning. But before we go, we want to leave you with some sounds of the season. Here's the Massac County High School Concert Choir.